Hello guys, today we are going to review the movie Desperado that came in 1995. Let's do its full movie review and talk about its facts. So let's start with its introduction. Desperado, directed by Robert Rodriguez, is a style action film and a sequel to his 1992 debut El Mariachi. It stars Anthony Banderas in his breakout roles as the roughish musician turned outlaw seeking revenge and justice in a aesthetics. Gritty, vibrant and violent border town setting known for its fast-paced editing, inventive camera work, and gritty aesthetics. Desperado is a defining example of Rodriguez's signature style, combining high-octane action, colorful visuals, and rebellion attitude. And if we talk about the film, is celebrated for its blend of western and action genre. Its iconic guitar case full of guns and its influence on modern grindhouse cinema. And if we talk about its plot summary, then let's start with its introduction and set. The film opens with a flashback revealing the tragic backstory of the protagonist, El Marici Anthony Banderas, whose wife was murdered by the ruthless drug lord Butcher. Now, under the alias El Marici, he is wandering the Mexican border region, seeking revenge and justice. If we talk about the call to action, El Mariachi arrives in a small border town where he encounters a colorful cast of characters, including a veteran, a young boy, and a mysterious woman named Carolina Salma. He is also pursued by ghost men who want to kill him. If we talk about the conflict, El Maraichi's quest for revenge intensifies as he battles Bucho's cartel, confronting gang members, corrupt cops, and deadly mercenaries. His signature weapon is a guitar case filled with guns, which becomes an iconic symbol of the film. And if we talk about climactic battles, the climax involves a series of styled shootouts, hand-to-hand combat, and daring stunts. Al Mariachi faces off against Bucho's men in a gritty blood-soaked showdown. The film concludes with Al Marici avenging his wife's death and confronting Bucho in a final explosive confrontation. And if we talk about themes and style, then let's talk about the revenge. And if you talk about revenge and justice, the core theme revolves around personal vengeance, justifies, and the fight against evil forces. El Marriage embodies a rebellious anti-hero seeking retribution. If we talk about style and aesthetic, Desperado is renowned for its hyper-realized visual, rapid editing, dynamic camera angles, and bold color palettes. Rodriguez's signature use of low-budget inequality creates a gritty visual atmosphere that feels both raw and artistic. If we talk about music and cultural influence, the film features a soundtrack blending flamenco, mariachi, and rock music, emphasizing its Mexican cultural roots. Antonio Banderas' guitar playing scene are iconic, symbolizing both his character's identity and the film's musical aesthetic. And if we talk about character analysis, El Marici, the outlaw, Antonio Banderas. Let's talk about his personality. Mysterious, skilled, and relentless. His calm demeanor masks lethal precision. If we talk about motivation driven by the loss of his wife and desire for revenge, we talk about iconic traits, guitar case full of gun, calm yet deadly presence, and if we talk about Carolina Salma Hayek, role, love interest, and alike traits, strong, resourceful, and courageous. She shares a connection with El Mariachi and fights alongside him. And if we talk about Bucho, Joaquim de Almeida, we talk about his role, the main villain, a ruthless drug lord. Traits sadistic, cunning, and powerful. His confrontation with Almighty drives the film's tension. If we talk about the henchman and side character, colorful, often humorous, and exaggerated, these characters add to the film's gritty yet playful tone. If we talk about production and behind the scene facts, talk about budget and filmmaking style, Desperado was made on a modest budget of approximately 7 million, demonstrating Rodriguez's mystery of low-budget filmmaking. His resourcefulness using practical effects, minimal CGI, and intensive camera techniques created a visual striking film. If we talk about influence and homages, the film draw heavily from Western, samurai movies, and greenhouse cinema. Rodriguez has cited Sergio Leone and John Woo as inspiration. Evident in the film styles, violence, and camera work. If you talk about iconic guitar case, the guitar case full of guns is a signature element symbolizing the protagonist's dual identity as musician and fighter. It also showcases Rodriguez's creative use of props. If we talk about fight sequence and choreography, the film features highly stylized fight scene with slow motion and creative camera angles. Many scenes were choreographed with a blend of martial arts and acrobatics. If we talk about Salma Hayek's breakout role, Desperado mark Salma Hayek's Hollywood debut, and her charismatic performances as Carolina influences her career. If we talk about Antonio Banderas' transformation, Banderas' portrayal of El Mariachi was a career-defining performance, blending coolness, martial arts skill, and musical talent. We talk about soundtrack and score. The soundtrack composed by Rodriguez himself features flamenco guitar, mariachi and rock influence reinforcing Mexican cultural elements. We talk about critical reception and impact. Desperado received mixed reviews upon release but was praised for its style, action sequence, and Banderas performance. It has since gained a cult following, especially among fans of grindhouse action and independent cinema. The film's influence can be seen in latest live-action movies, and it helped revive the Western genre aesthetic in modern filmmaking. If we talk about legacy and influence, stylistic inspiration, Desperado inspired a wave of low-budget, high-energy action films and influenced directors like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez himself. We talk about cult classic status. Its visual inventive style, memorable characters, and gritty tone has cemented its place in cult cinema. If we talk about the franchise and sequels, it was allowed by Once Upon a Time in Mexico 2003, also directed by Rodriguez and starring Banderas, expanding the universe. If we talk about memorable scenes and quotes, the guitar case can scene the iconic moment where Alvarici opens his guitar case to reveal an arsenal of guns. And if we talk about the final showdown, a brutal stylized fight in a warehouse with slow motion shots and creative use of weapons. Almari's calm aftermath, the scene where he calmly arranges his guns after a fight, exemplifying his cooler demeanor. Course, you better get out of the way or you are gonna get it. The only thing I want is my revenge. You can't run forever. If we talk about fun fact and trivia, low budget, high style despite its modest budget, Rodriguez's innovative techniques made the film visual strike. If we talk about guitar as a weapon, Anthony Banderas learned to play the guitar for the film, and scene of him strumming are genuine. If we talk about filming location, shot mainly in Mexico, capturing authentic border town atmosphere. If we talk about homage to action and western classic, the film pays homage to classic genre tropes with modern flair. If we talk about reuse shots and effect, Rodriguez used shot and effective creatively to save cost but maintain style. We talk about soundtrack. The music is integral with Rodriguez owning much of the film himself, emphasizing Mexican musical traditions. If we talk about conclusion, Desperado is a high energy, visually inventive action film that combines Western tropes with martial arts Music and grindhouse aesthetic. It showcased Robert Rodriguez's ingenuity as a filmmaker who can craft stylish, intense, and gritty cinema on a shoestring budget. Antonio Banderas' charismatic performance, Salma Hayek's depth, and the film's iconic imagery have made it a cult classic. It remains a must-watch for fans for styles, action, independent filmmaking, and genre mashup. It influenced endures it contemporary action movies, and it continues to inspire filmmakers to create bold, low-budget spectacles with a distinctive personal touch. Let's talk about more. And if we talk about Desperado 1995, the ultimate in-depth movie review and comprehensive fact complication. And let's start with introduction, a landmark in novel action and color cinema. Desperado is more than just a film. It's a cinematic manifesto of guerrilla filmmaking, celebration of style, power, budget, and a showcase of Robert Rodriguez's unique vision. Released on August 25, 1995 by Miramax Films. Desperado is often heralded as one of the defining films of the 1990s independent action genre, blending Western motifs, martial arts, and grindhouse aesthetics into a high-octane, visually arresting spectacle. It's a film that redefined what could be achieved with minimal resource, transforming practical effect, inventive cinematography, and energetic editing into form of high art. It also cemented Antonio Banderas as an international action star and launched Salma Hayek's Hollywood career. And if we talk about extended plot breakdown and narrative themes, if we talk about opening sequence stabilizing mood, the film begins with the gritty montage of the border town capturing the dusty streets, the neon lit bars, and the rugged terrain setting a tone that is dark, dangerous, and vibrant. The opening credits are styled with uniforms and bikers. The flashback to El Marichi's wife's murder by Bucco is a brief but potent, stabilizing that personal stakes that drives our hero prodigious use of shadow and muted colors here foreshadows the film gritty aesthetics. If we talk about the hero's journey and character introduction, Almaji's arrival in the town is marked by a slow motion shot of him walking through the streets, guitar case slung over his back, silent but deadly. His calm demeanor, mask, a lethal skill set, and Andrea's portrayal executes a quiet intensity mixed with a sense of poetic justice. The character is introduced as a lone wolf, a man of few words but many actions, embodying the archetype of the gunslinger with moral, the villain, and antagonist Hugo. Joaquim de Almeida, who is a charismatic yet brutal drug lord, his scenes are shot with glossy, almost serial quality, highlighting his dominance and menace. His dialogue is sharp, often delivered with a sly smile, hinting at both charm and cruelty. Talk about the supporting cast and side characters. Asimi's character, a small but memorable role as a rival gunfighter. The boy Moko, a young local who idealized Almazis, provides moments of humor and innocence amid shows the bar owner and other locals add flavor and authenticity to the watered down atmosphere. And if we talk about the guitar case and iconography, the guitar case filled with guns in is a central symbol representing the fusion of music and violence. Prodigious inventive use of this prop with the scene where it transforms into a weapon case showcases his ability to blend storytelling with visual play and pedagogy scenes and their significance. The gunfight in the streets, a masterclass in stylized violence with slow motion shots, rapid editing, and choreographed gunfight. We talk about the fight in the warehouse, a brutal visual sequence with close quarters combat emphasizing the raw, gritty tone of it because capture and confrontation, the climax where El Maricis face off against Foucault in a blood-soaked showdown blending martial arts with gunfights. If we talk about romance and emotional subplot, El Maria's bond with Cairns and emotional depth, their chemistry is understand but palpable, giving the hero's quest a personal dimension beyond events. Here we talk about themes and artistic elements in depth, the fusion of genre. Desperado is a hybrid part western, part martial art film, part crime thriller, prodigious seamlessly melts these genres through visual motif, music, and narrative structure, creating a restive on family tropes, pedagogy style, and substance. The film's visual style is its hallmark, portrays employs dynamic camera angles, quick cuts, and color grading that emphasizing blood, rest, and fire techniques include extreme close-ups to high intention, tower slow motion and speed editing to dramatize gunfight and fight scene. Color palette, warm earth tones dominate with fiery reds and oranges to evoke danger and passion. Then if we talk about music and sound design, the soundtrack composed by Rodriguez himself features flamenco guitar, melodies, and Rock influence the music is integral, often aligning with action beats or emotional movements. We talk about sound effects, gunshot, clash ring, and environmental noise are exaggerated for visual impact, contributing to the film security aesthetic. We talk about cinematography and editing, that is a low angle shot, wide lenses, and quick editing creates a kinetic energy. The film's pacing is relentless, with rapid fire sequence and moments of silence uh, to build tension. If we talk about visual effects and vertical stunts, despite budget constraints, shortage prioritize practical effects, gunfire and blood over the top staged and sometimes cartoonists adding to the film's pulp aesthetic. And if we talk about character deep dive, Al Marici, Antonio Banderas' evolution from mysterious loner to a determined avenger. His calm exterior hides a complex man haunted by loss but driven by justice. And if we talk about Carolina, Salma, Hayek, role and impact, not just a love interest, but a fierce fighter in her own right. Her chemistry with Banderas is palpable. If we talk about character arc, and if we talk about Mr. Jackie Almeida, antagonist, depth, a charismatic villain who is both charming and terrifying. His personal vendetta against El Marichis fueled much of the plot. If we talk about signature scene, His death seems like brutal and poetic, where he finally faces his end. If we talk about behind the scene and filmmaking inside. Rodriguez's guerrilla filmmaking techniques, low budget, high creativity. Rodriguez shot Desperado with a shoestring budget of approximately 7 million, relying on practical effects, location, and clever framing. The approach, many stunts and effective were performed by Rodriguez and his crew, emphasizing resourcefulness, innovative use of lighting and color to compensate for limited resources. Rodriguez used lighting creatively to enhance mood and atmosphere. If we talk about Antonio Banderas, preparation and performance, Banderas trained in martial arts and guitar playing for authenticity. Calm, deliberate demand your urge a deliberate contrast to the chaos around him. It offers some Hayek's breakout performance. Her chemistry with Vandria combined with her fiery screen presence have propelled her to stardom. Her character's resilience and strength were praised. If we talk about music and score, Rodgers composed much of the soundtrack, blending flamenco guitar with rock, creating unrestrained auditory identify. The theme song Magna Celosa is recurring motif that symbolizes the film's cultural root. If we talk about influence and homages, the film pays homage to classic Western samurai cinema and martial arts film, particularly John Woo's gunplay scene and Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns. We talk about legacy and influence. Cleverliness, low-budget action demonstrated that creates vision can empower budget constraints. If we talk about inspiration to filmmakers, inspired Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, and others in the indie film movement. If we talk about popularization of the grindhouse aesthetic, the film's criticized violence become a hallmark of grindhouse cinema. We talk about iconic imagery, the guitar case, the slow motion gunfights, and the eerie color palette are now staples in action cinema. We talk about memorable scenes and quotes. The guitar case weapon revealed one of the most iconic images as Messi pulls gun from his guitar case in a first cinematic shot. The final duel, a bloody brutal showdown in a warehouse filled with dust and debris, Radisha's signature slow motion effect. Banderas calm reload, the scene where he meticulously reloads his guns, avoiding coolness under fire. We talk about quads. You better get out of the way or you're gonna get it. Talk about you are either with us or you are against us. Only thing I want is my revenge. My guitar case is my weapon. If we talk about additional fun and trivia, Rodri is a self-funded project. He financed part of the film himself, showcasing his dedication to independent filmmaking. If we talk about guitar as a weapon, Banderas learn to play guitar for authenticity and scenes involving music, a shot with real playing, filming location primarily shot in Mexico, capturing authentic landscape and architecture, stunt work and choreography. Many stunts were performed by Rodriguez's team, emphasizing practically and realism. If we talk about reference and homage, the film references classic Western martial arts movies and action cinema, sometimes directly parodying them. If we talk about conclusion, the enduring power of Desperado. Desperado stands as a testament to create filmmaking, proving that with ingenuity, passion, and style, low budget film can deliver high impact entertainment. If we talk about conclusion, the enduring power Desperado. Desperado stands to creative filmmaking, provoking that the innovative passion and style, low budget film can deliver high impact entertainment. Its pulsating, adrenaline fueled, visually stunning tribute to Western martial arts and grindhouse cinema. Its influence endures in contemporary action movies and its iconic imagery, quotes, and characters continues to inspire fans and filmmakers alike. Rodriguez's bold vision created a film that is both a love letter to genre cinema and a groundbreaking piece of independent art. If we talk about more, If we talk about Desperado, the most comprehensive in-depth movie review and fact compilation ever. If we talk about introduction, an artistic revolution in action cinema. Desperado, directed by Robert Rogers, is a film that transcends traditional genre boundaries, blending Western motifs, martial art, crime thriller, and grindhouse aesthetics into a seamless, exhilarating experience. It's celebrated not only for its stylistic innovation but also for its remarkable achievement in low-budget filmmaking, demonstrating that resourcefulness and creativity can produce cinematic masterpieces. If we talk about release and it released in 1992, Desperado continues to influence filmmakers and audience worldwide, inspiring a new generation of independent filmmakers who aspire to craft bold visual stories without the need for massive budget. Its cultural significance lies in its bold attitude, inventive visuals, and its celebration of Mexican culture and music. We talk about action and detailed plot and narrative breakdown. If we talk about opening sequence and atmosphere setting, the film kicks off with a montage that immediately immerses the viewers into a gritty, dangerous border thus neon lights flickering and the sound of a flamenco guitar echoing. The opening credits are stylized with fiery fonts and quick cuts, emphasizing chaos and energy. This visual and auditory tone set the stage for an action-packed ride. Rodriguez employs a technique of rapid editing with quick zooms, sweep pans, and stylized filters, giving the film an energetic, almost hypnotic rhythm. The opening stabilizes the core themes, revenge, survival, and the blending of music and violence. If we talk about the backstory and personal motivation, a brief flashback reveals that Al marries his wife was murdered by Buko, the drug lord, an event that haunts him throughout the film. This backstory delivered through sparse dialogue and visual cues adds emotional depth to the otherwise stoic protagonist. We talk about introduction of the hero and setting. Al Mercy, played by Antonio Banderas, is introduced walking through the street with a guitar case slung over his shoulder. His demeanor is calm, almost poetic, contrasting sharply with the violence that will unfold. He is a man of mystery, an anti-hero embodying the archetype of the long gunslinger. The setting, an authentic Mexican border town, is captured with a mix of wide swords and close-ups, emphasizing the dusty streets, rundown building, and the vibrant yet dangerous atmosphere. We talk about key supporting character and dynamics. Carolina Salma Hayek, a fierce, resourceful woman who becomes Almarici's ally and love interest. Her character is portrayed with strength and resilience, breaking stereotypes of potential in distress. If we talk about Uko, the charismatic yet sadistic villain whose personal vendetta against El Marici drives much of the plot. And if we talk about the boy, young local who idolize El Marici, providing a perspective of innocence amidst the henchmen and townsfolk. A colorful array for characters, each exaggerated yet authentic, adding layer to the gritty setting. Talk about iconic visual and plot device. Guitar case as a weapon, the film's most iconic elements. Guitar case filled with guns serves as both a practical weapon and a symbol of the protagonist's dual identity as musician and fighter. We talk about his use of shadows and light. Rodriguez's use of chiaroscuro lighting enhances mood and character depth, creating a noise-like aesthetic. Through color, slate, warm earth tone dominated with fiery red and orange, highlighting violence, passion, and danger. If we talk about major action sequence and their significance, States gunfight a fast-paced style shootouts with El Mariachi his environment and improvisation slow motion shot emphasizes the brutality and precision of his gunplay. And if we talk about warehouse showdown, uh, gritty malware, hand-to-hand combat, gunfire, and explosion creates chaos and tension. Monsters capture and final confrontation, the culmination of Almarich's quest, featuring a brutal gladiator that combine martial arts, gunplay, and strategical use of environment. We talk about emotional and romantic subplots. Almarici's relationship with Carolina adds emotional weight. Her resilience and courage mirror his own. Their chemistry is understated but powerful, grounding. The film's high-octane action in personal stake. If we talk about closer and resolution, the film concludes with El Marichi avenging his wife's death and confronting Moko in a final explosive showdown. His calm demeanor persists, symbolizing mastery over chaos and violence. If we talk about in-depth exploration of themes and artistic elements, or generic blending and innovation, Desperado is pioneering hybrid world, part western, part martial arts, part crime saga, and part musical production. Mastery lies in seamlessly integrating these elements. We talk about western motifs, the lone gunslinger, the dusty town, the showdown, it high known martial arts influence, hand-to-hand combat scene with choreographed moves. Talk music as storytelling, flamenco guitar and mariachi melody underscore emotional beats and cultural identity. We talk about visual style and cinematic technique. Visual style and cinematic techniques. Rodriguez's visual style elevates the film beyond mere action. Talk about dynamic camera work, weak pans, zoom ins, and lower angle shots, high tension, color grading, warm tones, poor peak, and passion cooler shades signal danger of introspection. If we talk about slow motion and speed jumping, highlighting key moments, gunfire fight, emotional reveals, adding visual feel, practical effects, blood splatter, gunfire, sparks, and stunt work performed by Rodriguez team and authenticity to sound and music integration. The soundtrack, composed by Rodriguez, mixed flamenco, rock, and Mexican pop, reinforcing cultural roots. Iconic songs like Hayek and Salsa become thematic motifs, often synchronized with action or emotional beats. Sound design, exotic consort, and environmental noises immersing viewers in a gritty visuals world. If we talk about character and archetype and development, Almarici, the mysterious poetic hero, silent, irritably embodying the archetype of the anti-hero Carolina, a fierce, independent woman who fight alongside the hero, representing resilience and love. If you talk about a charismatic villain whose personal vendetta fuels the narrative, embodying evil with charm. If you talk about supporting character, provide humor, insolence, and authenticity in enriching the story. If you talk about behind the scene and filmmaking industry, and talk about budget and production challenges. We talk about made on modest budget. Around 7 million. Prodigious resourcefulness was key. He used radical effect, sheer location, and minimal CGI, pushing the limits of low budget filmmaking. We talk about Rodriguez's life philosophy. Rodriguez performed many stunts himself, used guerrilla filmmaking techniques, and relied on inventive camera tricks to compensate for budget constraints. If we talk about Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek, Banderas trained in martial arts and guitar playing, bringing authenticity and charisma. Hayek, her fiery performance as Kalina was her Hollywood depth, showcasing her acting range and screen presence. They talk about music and score creation. We talk about music and score creation strategies for blends traditional Mexican music with rock, creating a distinctive auditory signature that enhances the film's cultural identity. If we talk about influence and homage, the film pays homage to Sergio Leone's Western genre styles, gunplay, and martial arts cinema, reinterpreting these influences through Rodriguez's unique lens. Talk about iconic props and visual. Guitar case full of guns, a symbol of the fusion of music and violence. Blood and explosion, practical effect that became staples of Grindhouse cinema. Talk about reception, legacy, and cultural significance. Desperado initial received mixed reviews but grew in stature as a cult classic. Critics praised its style, energy, and inventive visuals, while some found its violence excessive. Talk about our time. It has influenced the filmmakers and become a blueprint for low budget, high impact action cinema. Its visual motifs, music, and altitude have permeated pop culture. If we talk about box office and impact, grossed approximately 58 million worldwide. Inspired sub 10 traditional films including From Dusk Till Dawn and Once Upon a Time in Mexico, boosted carries of Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. And if we talk about cultural and genre impact, and if we talk about rivalry ties to the Western and action genres, the film's fusion of Western and martial arts aesthetics created a new template. We talk about influence, Grindhouse and B-movie aesthetics. It exerted violence, practical effect, and over-the-top style became hallmark. Inspired independent filmmakers. Uh, Inspired independent filmmakers demonstrate that passion and ingenuity could produce commercially successful artistic respect film. It had memorable scene and scores. A deep dive, iconic scene. Guitar case can reveal the shot where Elmas opens his guitar case to reveal an arsenal of guns, an iconic visual symbol of the film. If we talk about fight in the warehouse, a brutal gritty meal emphasizing raw physicality and Rodriguez's inventive, memorable. Talk about final due, a bloody slow motion showdown that combines martial arts, gunfire, and environmental hazards. We talk about Elmer's calm reload, a quiet, composed scene where he meticulously reloads, symbolizing mastery over chaos. And if we talk about memorable quote, you better get out of the way or you gonna get it. You're either with us, you are against us. The only thing I want is my revenge. My guitar case is my weapon. You can't run forever. We talk about additional and trivia and fun fact. Roddy is self-funding. He financed part of the film himself, showcasing independent spirit. Banderas guitar skills learned to play flamenco guitar for authenticity. And if we talk about authentic location filmed in Mexico, adding reality. Talk about stunt marketing performed by Rodriguez team emphasizing practical to images and parody references to classic Western martial arts and grindhouse films. If talk about soundtrack composed by Rodriguez blending flamenco, mariachi, and rock. If we talk about conclusion, the enduring legacy of Desperado. Desperado is a cinematic milestone, an underlined cool, visually inventive masterpiece that proves passion, creativity, and boldness can trim our budget constraints. Its influence is felt across genre filmmaking, inspiring countless artists and fans. The film is celebrating of Mexican culture, music, and the rebellion spirit of independent cinema. Its iconic imagery, memorable character, and relentless energy ensure its place in film history as a true cult classic. If we talk about more, if we talk about Desperado 1995, the most exhaustive, in-depth, lengthiest movie review and fact compilation ever created. And if we talk about introduction, a cult classic that redefined Indian action cinema. Desperado is more than a film. It's an artistic revolution, a manifesto of guerrilla filmmaking, and a testament to the power of visual resourcefulness and raw talent. Directed by Robert Rodriguez, it emerged in the mid-90s as a groundbreaking achievement crafted on a shoestring budget, but exploding with style, energy, and cultural authenticity. Talk about the film's significance, action beyond its immediate plot. Recommended to the price. Plot or character is challenges Hollywood. So traditional notions of production, providing that with ingenuity and passion, filmmaker could create compelling visual cinema outside the studio system. Its influence is still felt today in Indian filmmaking, action genre reinvention, and the visual language of grindhouse and new westerns. And if we talk about extensive plot, breakdown, and narrative, opening shot, a thematic atmosphere, the film opens with a slow, almost harmonic neons and flickering and a gritty soundtrack of flamenco guitar. Camera employees sweeping wide shots of the body, capturing its vibrancy and dangers. Similarly, the opening credits are rendered with the fiery violence. Artists employs quick cuts, sweep pans, and styles filters to create a nightly rhythm that immerses viewers into a chaotic, dangerous world. The opening sequence isn't just about astralizing space, it's a visual declaration of style and send a promise of relentless energy. Backdrop and emotional core and flashback reveals that Almarici's wife was murdered by a ruthless drug lord, an event that haunts him and drives his relentless pursuit of justice. His backstory is covered with sparse dialogue, emphasizing visuals, storytelling, sorts of a movement, silhouette, shot, deep following this personal vendetta adds emotional depth for me. Tender character from a mere gunslinger into a man with a purpose rooted in perseverance. Rodriguez hints at this tragedy through subtle visual cues, a locket, a photograph, a moment of quiet reflection. Talk about introducing El Marici and his world. We talk about Antonio Banderas' portrayal of El Marici is both dirty and nostalgic through the streets. The case holding the Portrait of mysterious Salma is almost until contrast sharply with the violence that erupts around him. It offers supporting character and their role in the narrative. Carolina, a very independent woman who fight alongside Marici. Our chemistry with Banderas is understated but electric, representing resilience and love. Desperado, the charismatic yet sadistic villain whose personal vendetta against Almerich's schemes months after the plot. These scenes are shot with a glossy, almost surreal quality, emphasizing his dominance. The world of the young local who admires Almasi, he provides innocence amidst chaos, and his interaction adds emotional layers. Talk about henchmen and townsfolk. A colorful array of exaggerated yet authentic characters who enrich the film's gritty, lived-in atmosphere. If we talk about iconography and visual motif, darkness as a weapon and symbol. Darkness filled with guns embodies the fusion of music and violence, requiring motives that symbolize artistry, culture, and lethal pragmatism. We talk about color and lighting, Rodriguez's use of cartoons, fiery reds and orange evoke heat, passion, and danger shadows and chiaroscuro lighting add noise like depth and mood. If we talk about environmental details, dusty streets, broken sewage, signage, colorful textile, and rustic architecture around the film in authenticity. If we talk about major action sequence and their artistic significance, it put out a masterclass in stylized violence, slow motion, gunfire, rapid cuts, and choreography that emphasizes brutality and precision. We talk about warehouse tour, pretty visuals, male with floor course combat, showcasing raw physicality. Toggle goes capture and the final showdown. The climax is a bloody, intense confrontation blending martial arts, gunplay, and environmental hazards, culminating in cathartic resolution. The emotional and romantic subplots Salma's relationship with Carolina is understated but vital. Their chemistry grounds the film, providing emotional stake beyond revenge. Scene if we talk about resolution and thematic closure, trauma, generation, and innovation, genre fusion and innovation. Desperado is a pioneering hybrid melding western martial art, crime, thriller, and musical elements into a cohesive aesthetic. If we talk about Western, the lone gunslinger, the dusty town, the showdown, classic tropes, reimagined with a Mexican twist. We talk about martial arts choreographed fights that blend physicality and grace. Talk about music, flamenco and mariachi melodies underscore emotional moments and cultural identity. We talk about Rodriguez's seamless integration of the genre creates a fresh cinematic language that influenced countless filmmakers, and we talk about visual and cinematic language, camera techniques, quick pans, low angle shots, and extreme close-ups. Hayek tension and intimacy. We talk about color and light, calm tones, ego, heat and passion, sadness, create mystery. We talk about slow motion and speed ramping because it's strategically to emphasize gunfire, fight, choreography and emotional beats. We talk about practical effect, respect, impact and stunt performed by Rodriguez's team, land authenticity and Marcel's effect. We talk about sound and music as narrative device. The soundtrack composed by Rodriguez's blends flamenco guitar, bass, rock and traditional Mexican pop music is scenerized with action, heightening emotional resonance and cultural authenticity. Some effects are representative of setters, loud decorative, whistles, immersive experience. We talk about character archetype and their evolution. Almerici is the poetic, calm, and embodiment of mastery, resilience, and poetic justice. Beloved Carolina appears resilient woman fighting alongside him, representing strength and love. Tawaduko, charismatic villain with passionate heads, complexity. Tawa, supporting cast, humor, innocence, and authenticity. Each character adding layers to the narrative. Behind the scene and filmmaking masterclass. Talk about budget and production realities made of roughly 7 billion dedicated resourcefulness. As Paramount, he relied on real locations, practical effect, and guerrilla filmmaking techniques, demonstrating that passion and ingenuity could bypass Hollywood reliance on CGI and big budget. We talk about Rodriguez's philosophy and creative ingenuity. Rodriguez performed many stunts himself, used practical effects to create explosions and gunfire, and shot scenes with minimal resources but maximum creativity. We talk about Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. Banderas trained in martial arts and flamenco guitar, embodying authenticity. About Hayek, a fiery, passionate performance made a start and contributed to the film's cultural authenticity. About music and score development, Hayek is composed much of the soundtrack himself, blending traditional Mexican music with rock influences, enriching the film's cultural tapestry. We talk about visual image and genre reference. Inspired by Sergio Leone Western John Woo style gunplay and martial arts classic, the film aesthetic combine these influence into a unique visually cocktail. Talk about iconic props, a visual signature. Guitar case filled with the guns, the most recognizable symbol. Fusing music, violence, blood and explosion. Practical effect that emphasizing grit and visual impact. We talk about critical reception and cultural impact. Initially mixed reviews turned into cult admiration as audience appreciated Rodriguez's inventive style and raw energy. We talk about critics praised its visual inventiveness, energetic editing, and Banderas' charismatic performance. We talk about Desperado's influence, countless filmmakers inspiring the modern action film aesthetic and a renewed appreciation for grindhouse cinema. We talk about box office and commercial success crossed about 58 million worldwide, proving that low-budget, high-energy movies could succeed commercially. We talk about legacy and influence. Reinvigorated Western and action genres, inspired countless independent filmmakers, became a staple of grindhouse and B-movie culture. We talk about pioneered a new wave of styled music infused action films, and if we talk about memorable scene and parts, an exhaustive collection key scene. Guitar case revealed the iconic opening of the weaponized guitar case. Street shootouts, fast-paced stylism, which motion effect. Talk about warehouse fight, gritty visual combat, emphasizing physicality. Talk about final duel, bloody, brutal, and cinematic, imperfect culmination. The reload El Marichi is calm, deliberate, reloading shots symbolizing mastery. Talk about quotes, you better get out of the way or you are gonna get it. You are either the urge or you are against us. The only thing I want is my revenge. My guitar case is my weapon. You can't run forever. You are not living here alive. We talk about additional trivia and fun facts. Rodriguez self-funding and diabetic. He financed parts of the film himself, emphasizing independence. Antonio Banderas' preparation, learned flamenco guitar and martial arts. Talk about filming locations shot entirely in Mexico, capturing authentic landscapes, student fight choreography, performed by Rodriguez's team using practical techniques. Influence, talk about influence and homages, references to Western martial arts and grindhouse films. We talk about soundtrack of fusion, traditional Mexican music, flamenco and rock composed by Rodriguez. We talk about conclusion, the enduring power and legacy of Desperado. Desperado is a cinematic tour de force, an undeniably pure, visually stunning, culturally rich film that challenged convention and redefined what low-budget filmmaking could achieve. Its influence extends beyond cinema into pop culture, inspiring countless artistic filmmakers and fans. It's a testament to the power of passion, creativity, and resilience, a true cult classic that countless to inspire and entertain decades after it released. If we talk about more, and if we talk about experiment, the ultimate most exhaustive length is 29 Again, start with introduction, cultural and cinematic phenomenon. Desperado isn't just a film, it's an artistic movement, a rebellious sound from the independent film community that challenged the dominance of Hollywood blockbuster crafted by Robert Rodriguez. It exemplifies guerrilla filmmaking, proving that passion, innovation, and resourcefulness can produce a film of extraordinary style, energy, and cultural despite a modest budget. The film's significance lies not only in its story but in its aesthetic evaluation and martial arts, musical elements into a unique visual language that has inspired countless filmmakers and cinephiles worldwide. It about comprehensive plot and scene breakdown. We talk about opening sequence and atmosphere. The film begins with a slow, deliberate montage, just waiting in the air, neon sign flickering, and the sound of flamenco guitar echoing through the night. The opening credits are styled with fear, animated fonts reminiscent of flames dancing in the dark, setting the tone of heat, passion, and danger. Rodriguez's editing style is frantic yet precise, pixels, sweep pens, and styles filter creates a feeling of urgency and chance. So it was the review of this movie. I hope you like it, and if there was any mistake in this video, then I apologize for that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.